Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone, and the MVP race might have just ended. We've been in the midst of one of the better MVP battles of my lifetime. It's been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic having two of the best seasons ever, and the MVP race has heated up a lot coming into this game, with Jokic recently dropping a 30-20-20 game, which is hard for me to even wrap my head around the fact that someone can put up that type of stat line, that it's physically possible, but Jokic makes the impossible possible, having one of his best seasons as a guy that already came into the year considered one of the best offensive players ever. Meanwhile, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been having one of the best guard seasons we've ever seen, completely dominating in every facet of the game, while the Thunder run away with the Western Conference. So this was a perfect moment for this game to be. There's been more MVP discussion, heated MVP discussion specifically on my timeline over the last couple of days than I've seen in a long time, and today, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander made a statement. He went out there and was the best player on the court pretty clearly throughout this matchup. He ends up dropping 40 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks, shoots 15 of 32 from the field, 47%. He was amazing. I mean, he was a monster. The defense just in general, even outside of the blocks, was phenomenal. It's what he's been doing all season, and specifically down the stretch in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets kept trying to break back into this one. Shai just absolutely would not let them. He was also dominant in the first quarter. It was step back mid-range jumpers. It was getting downhill and finishing at the rim through contact for an and one. It was everything that you could imagine and more. Really, the only thing Shai didn't have going in this game was his 3-ball. He shot 2 of 11 from the outside, and he's been unstoppable from 3 as of late. And I mean, when you consider the fact that he shot 2 of 11 and still finished just 1 shot short of shooting 50% on the game, it shows you just how much he was terrorizing Denver anytime he got within the arc. Probably the craziest moment of the whole performance was when Shai got that 40th point, hitting a 3, a dagger 3 over Russell Westbrook out of all people. It's still insane to see the reception that Russ gets in OKC. It's very warranted. He is the greatest Thunder player of all time, and the guy right now gunning for that title is Shai. So to see that moment, it was just insane. Coming from someone who is, of course, a diehard Thunder fan, who has Russell Westbrook as one of his favorite players of all time. That was an insane moment between those two Thunder legends, of course. And yeah, the Thunder end up getting a win in this one, blowing out the Denver Nuggets. It was close for a lot of the game, but they pull away at the end, 127-103, a 24-point win as they continue to pad that net rating, which is still the second best net rating in NBA history, only behind the 96 Bulls. As for Jokic, I mean, he also had a really good game, 24 points, 13 boards, 9 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal, just 1 assist short of a triple-double, which it feels like he gets every night. Shot 43% from the field, 2 of 10 from 3, also not a good game shooting from the outside for Joker. Really, neither of the MVP candidates were hitting their outside shots. There was one moment in this game where Jokic fell on his elbow, hit it pretty hard, and after that, it felt like the shooting wasn't quite as consistent, but I also feel like the Thunder's defense was just really good on him. I wouldn't be surprised if it was bothering him. Michael Malone said after the game that it's not a problem, that Jokic is fine. We'll just see what happens with him, because these two teams actually play again tomorrow night, which is both really fun that we get to see the rematch, but also I kind of wish there was more time for these two teams to rest and be at their best going into another matchup between the two of them. So we'll see how that game goes and if Jokic plays. But I mean, yeah, Jokic was awesome, and he's been awesome all season. I mean, if you still think Jokic is the MVP, I don't necessarily blame you, because he is putting up some completely historic, ridiculous numbers, and Denver has been really good this season. They're not the 1 seed, but they've been fighting right there for the 2 seed, 3 spot pretty much this entire season after a slow start, and a lot of that has been the Joker. But I do think that this game and really the body of work that Shai's put together has sealed the MVP in his favor. If he loses at this point, I'm personally going to be shocked unless something crazy happens down the stretch, because he has such an insane case, and I want to talk about that. Obviously, you know, this game was huge and everything involved in that, but I also just want to go ahead and lay out what the Shai MVP case is, because for some reason, I feel like people are not firmly grasping what he's been doing this season, why he's been having, again, I said this earlier, one of the greatest guard seasons in NBA history. I put together this tweet yesterday that really outlines the Shai MVP case. Obviously, he's leading the league in scoring. Now it's up to 32.9 points per game. He's got a 64.5 true shooting percentage, which, by the way, is the second best ever for a player, averaging over 32 points per game. The only guy that he's behind is Joel Embiid. So He's the only guard to ever shoot this well in terms of true shooting percentage, averaging this many points. Again, one of the greatest scoring seasons we've ever seen, and that includes the most 30, 40, and 50-point games this season, added another 40-point game today. Also, as a whole in this season, he's only got 7 games of scoring under 25 points, and now as of today, 11 games of 40 or more on the season. He is the definition of consistency, and you want to talk about the consistency more, he right now has 58 straight games of 20-plus points. That is the longest streak since Kobe Bryant had 63 back in 2006. And if he continues to play as many games that he's been playing and continues this type of consistency, he's going to end up second all time, only behind Oscar Robertson with 79 straight. He's going to eclipse Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant in terms of that consistency. If you want to talk about the advanced stats, first in EPM this season and estimated wins, just second in offensive EPM. He's in the 95th percentile in defensive EPM, and that's another thing. The defense from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's real. He is deserving of consideration for an all-defensive team. There are very few stars, MVP-level players that play both sides of the ball the way that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does, and that leads to him being second in the league in steals. I know steals aren't the end-all, be-all defensive stat, but it's an indicator of what he does, and he gets in the passing lanes. Again, 3 blocks today, first amongst all guards in blocks, one of them being on Nikola Jokic out of all people today. Also, one of the bigger arguments is that he is the best player on a team with the second best net rating of all time. They now have a 12-game lead in the Western Conference, and Chet Holmgren, I feel like people for some reason are forgetting this, missed most of the season. Isaiah Hartenstein was out for like the first 18 games of the year, and they are closing in on the largest gap of all time between a 1 and a 2 seed, which is 14 games. They today stretch it to 12. If they beat Denver again tomorrow, it's going to be a 13-game gap, although the Lakers, end up passing them, so that might change things a little bit. But even still, they have a chance to have the biggest lead ever between a 1 and a 2 seed, and that goes with a net rating of 17.3 when Shai is on the court, which would be the best of all time. They right now have the largest average win total margin of 12.7 points per game ever. They've passed the 1972 Lakers. That is a 53-year record. The top 2 scorers in the league this season are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Shai through 3/4 of the game. He's having one of the best seasons of all time. And I already know that some people are going to say, oh, he's a free throw merchant. What about the free throws? Which, if you just watch the game of basketball, you'll know that that's not true, but I know a lot of people don't. So I've got a stat for you. Since the NBA-ABA merger, which, by the way, shout out to my guy Denver Doubled Worth for this, go check out his YouTube channel. 21 times a player has averaged 32 or more points per game. If you rank those seasons by free throw attempts, Jordan in 87 is number 1, Harden in 2019 is number 2, Joel Embiid in 23 is number 3, 15th out of those 21 seasons is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 8.8 attempts per game, but he only shot 8 tonight, so this number probably even went down a tick. He is having one of the least free throw heavy 32+ point per game seasons we've ever seen, ever. Like, he is very clearly, if you just take a look at the numbers, doing it despite not getting the free throw line attention that a lot of the best scorers ever have gotten, and he's still making it work. He is the player that a lot of people have been complaining for. He is a mid-range assassin. He gets downhill, and yeah, sure, he's got the 3 ball, but he's not reliant on that. He is a very old-school throwback type of player that people have been saying, oh, I don't want the 3s and this and that, and then he goes out there and does it, and people still find a way to complain. It's just kind of what happens with some of the greatest players in the game, some of the greatest to ever do it, which Shai is going to go down as. He's going to win the MVP this season, and it's going to go down as one of the best guard seasons ever. He's doing things we have never seen, and the sooner that people realize that and appreciate the greatness, the more that you're just going to enjoy basketball. And again, I'm not trying to tear down Nikola Jokic with this video. If you think he's the MVP, I don't blame you. A 29-point triple-double on crazy efficiency on a really good Nuggets team, that sounds like an MVP type season to me. He's one of the best offensive players ever, and he's having one of his best seasons. He is fully deserving of all of the credit, all of the attention and love he's been getting this season. He's been a monster. I'm not going to tear that down. I'm not going to say that Jokic actually sucks or anything like that, because it's just not true. I just also want to present that Shai is having an awesome case, and I feel like the NBA needs more stuff like this, where we don't have to tear down one guy just to build up another. I can just build up Shai and say what Shai's doing is awesome, and I think that is deserving of the MVP, without also trying to nitpick and tear down and say, oh, Jokic actually sucks, because because that's not the case. These are the two best players in the world right now. If you ask me, they're having the two best seasons, two of the best seasons ever. I just happen to think that Shai edges out Jokic's season just a little bit. And yeah, I might be biased. I mean, I'm wearing a Thunder shirt right now. I'm a Thunder fan, but I also think if you just take a look at the numbers and what he's been doing, there are way more reasons than just voter fatigue that Shai could win this MVP award. In my opinion, will end up winning. The odds have again moved back in his favor after this game between the Thunder and the Nuggets. I hope Jokic is healthy for the rematch tomorrow, and it'd be awesome to see these two teams face off in a playoff series. Again, you see Shai versus Jokic. Russell Westbrook is involved in that, as well as the guy who's trying to make it back to the finals, get himself a ring before the end of his career, and to do so, he's got to end up beating his former team, the team that he's going to eventually have a statue with. And, you know, the Thunder are trying to get back to the finals for the first time since Russ was there and knock off the franchise GOAT in the process. It'd be great basketball. It would be a great storyline. It'd just be really fun. So yeah, shout out to Shai for the way that he played today, making that statement. Shout out to Jokic for the amazing season he's been having in the Nuggets, doing what they've been doing. Hopefully everything, again, is okay with Jokic and that elbow. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the MVP race right now. Let me know down below in the comments, who's your MVP? Did this game shift your mindset at all? Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And yeah, appreciate y'all watching as always. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.